How's it going, everybody? Shameless watch collector here for my first video. Excited to be here, and I think I've got a pretty awesome first watch for us to take a look at here and unbox. So real quick, just a little bit of what to expect from this channel. We're going to be taking a look at a lot of watches that I think are interesting to me, whether that is due to affordability, what they're homaging, or just some features within them. These can come from Aliexpress, Amazon, direct from consumer or manufacturer, obviously, or maybe just finds that I find places like the Swap Meet. So today, it's actually going to be directly from Amazon, and as you can tell here, this is an Invicta watch. However, this, in my opinion, is not your average Invicta watch, and I'm excited to show you guys what piqued my curiosity so much about this specific watch and why I decided to pick it up and show it to you guys. But before we do that, real quick, let's do a wrist check. So on my wrist today is the Casio G-Shock GA2100. Put that one inside a metal case to give it that Casioak look. I also did switch out the hour markers for the rose gold to match the entire look of the case. So this watch, and actually two others that I have here with me, have a lot to do with this watch that we'll be unboxing here today from Invicta. Not to spoil too much, but here's also the two other watches we'll be taking another close look at later on this video. Let's get into it. So to be entirely transparent, I have already unboxed these, looked at them, but a lot has changed since then, and we'll go more into that as this video goes on, but I wanted to give you guys the full unboxing experience. And here is the first one. It is the Invicta X Activa Digital Essentials watch. I won't lie, the first thing that really stuck out to me was the striking beauty of this dial. I love the reflective finish, really nice. Big fan of this dial. However, the next thing that stuck out to me is, even though, as you can see, it only says Invicta on the box and essentially everywhere else in the packaging, it says Invicta nowhere on the watch. Not on the dial, not on the backing here, and not on the clasp. So very interesting that they're going all in on this Activa, I think their sports name brand or collaboration. And obviously by the look of it, you can tell what interested me so much about this watch and what it's homaging. I'll tell you this, guys, also about me and Invicta. I am not a big fan of this company. I typically think their watch designs are a little bit gaudy, a little bit loud, and that's fine if it's your style. I mean, I wear loud watches. You guys will see that in the future. But this was the first Invicta that's ever really gotten my curiosity piqued enough to want to purchase it. This is actually my first time ever getting hands on an Invicta watch that I own myself. This particular watch I have sized for myself and for my wrist, so that's why you see me putting it on my wrist right now. And I will say, from wearing it around the house and wearing it around the past couple days, it has been very comfortable on wrist. The band is not a hair puller, and it's been an overall pleasant experience. The only complaint I would have about the wearing experience is that very thick case. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the second watch here. And I'll tell you right now, this is the same model, just a different band and case color. I just wanted to really take a look at both and get the full scope of the color range. And I felt like this gold one was a great way to do that, and yet another strikingly beautiful dial. I also really enjoy the matte finish on the hour markers around the dial. I think it helps the reflective dial face look even better and more beautiful, especially in person. I will say though, there's one thing about the appearance of this watch that is bothering me, and it's the finishing on that case. That satin look they have right there. It just doesn't match anything else on the watch. If you look at the face of where the writing is, that has a very nice brush finish. And if you look at the band, that also, it has a totally different finish than the satin sides that you see on that case. I think it just looks a little bit cheap and out of place on an otherwise very good looking and honestly very high quality looking and feeling watch. So now let's compare and contrast to the watch that it is modeled after, the Casio G-Shock GA2100. First, let's talk price on the G-Shock. This watch does retail from Casio, from their website, for $110. And that is for the plastic version. To do this metal swap, which is the case and band, you can purchase that off Amazon or AliExpress. Typically runs about $50 to $70. So if you're looking for this Casioak look, you're going to be spending, I think, around $180 to $200 when all is said and done. And that doesn't even mention the full metal 2100s that Casio themselves offer, which are far, far more expensive than any other watch we'll be discussing here today. So now that we have that established, let's come back to this Invicta/Activa, because I do not think you guys are going to believe me when I tell you what I paid for these watches. Yep, that's right. I put my receipt on screen because I did not think you guys would believe me otherwise. I paid $19 per watch, which is insane and honestly probably the reason why this video even happened in the first place. But the story does not end there. So after unboxing this watch and being very impressed with it for a $19 watch, I went back on Amazon to look at the listing and take a closer look at the specs of this watch. Because to be honest, when I saw it for $19, I didn't think twice. And what I saw a mere 24 hours after purchasing was very, very interesting. Both watches are now retailing for $48.99 on Amazon, which I can't lie guys, this sent me down a crazy rabbit hole. I ended up finding this white face one for only $40.99, and then I even found a plastic one which looks a little bit like the Sanda from Aliexpress, but that one was $23, and then I found it on their actual website for $49.90, marked down from $150 being their original price. Who knows, knowing Invicta, if they ever tried to sell it for $150. So I have no explanation or reason that I can find as to why the specific day I found this on Amazon, it was $19. But I'm not complaining about that. However, it certainly swayed my opinions when I originally recorded my unboxing, which is why I have now redone this and compared and contrasted with this GA you see on screen, as well as two others we'll take a look at in a little bit. But that really changed my perspective on this watch. And originally thinking I was holding a $19 watch with that type of quality blew my mind, especially from a well-known manufacturer like Invicta. I was kind of thinking, have I been missing out this whole time? Has it always been this nice and inexpensive? Now that I see it's $50, I mean, obviously, right, my tone has changed. I don't feel the same way about this watch as I did when I initially paid $19. Let's take a look at the other two watches I have with me here today. So here they are, and if you saw when I flashed these in the beginning of the video and you're a G-Shock expert, you already know what I'm holding in my hands right now, and what it is two inauthentic rep G-Shock GA2100s. This first white one was purchased off DHgate for around $32, while the rainbow gradient one was purchased off Aliexpress for around $28. Both came in the plastic casing, and I purchased the metal Casioak band and case to switch over and give them both that Casioak look, similar to the authentic GA2100, which I have right here. And again, this one right here, the black one, is an authentic watch. So why did I purchase two inauthentic 2100 watches? First off, so I did and you guys didn't have to. That's what the shameless watch collector is going to be all about, is making these stupid decisions so none of you guys have to, and you shouldn't, to be honest. But I'd also heard that these rep G-Shocks did not fit into the Casio metal cases, so I was also very curious about that. Turns out they do, but I still would not recommend these watches. And the reason is simple. Taking a close look at these two. First off, the gradient one doesn't even work anymore. It could be the battery. I haven't taken it apart to find out. I haven't even owned the watch for long enough for the battery to have gone, so either way, it's very frustrating. And another reason, look at the face of that white one. The G-Shock logo is off-center. That is embarrassing. That's the type of stuff that gets you found out real quick for owning a rep watch. And then on top of that, the plastic. If I had not replaced these with a metal band, both of these were pretty embarrassing. The white one especially, some of the lowest quality plastic I've ever seen, just screamed not real G-Shock. Not to mention, these watches are not expensive enough in the first place to where you need to be buying replica versions of them. Again, this was a pure curiosity purchase. So with all that said, we have 4 watches here, 3 of which are working, so I thought it'd be fun to do a quick LED test on the dials of these digital watches. So we'll start with the authentic G-Shock and place your bets now on who you think will do the best. So here we go. Good LED. I've heard complaints about it only coming from the bottom right there, but not bad LED from there. Very minimal lume, I will say. So this is the DHgate rep. Here we go. Great lume and a better LED. Shorter time on the LED, as you can very much tell. It's going out quick, but great lume. And now the Activa. Let's take a look at this one. great lume again, and a different LED. It actually illuminates the entire face of the watch, and I'd probably say the time duration in between the G-Shock and the Rep. But I do actually think I like the Activa LED the most. A little surprising there to see the authentic Casio G-Shock be the one that, in my opinion, came in last place in the LED test. But what should also be no surprise to anybody, that is where the shortcomings of the authentic Casio G-Shock pretty much end. Now let's discuss the other two options we have here and how they compare to the authentic G-Shock, and we'll all bring it back to this watch that is the subject of this review, which is the Invicta/Activa. So first off, let's talk price one more time. Let's bring it back to the DHgate and the Aliexpress replica options. I know I said those were both $30 or around $30 each. However, like I said, they both were transferred into the metal cases that I had to purchase again off AliExpress or Amazon. Those cost between $50 and $70. So all said and done, those watches clock in at around $80, which is higher than even the $48.99 price currently on Amazon for the Invicta/Activa, but still a little bit less than a Casio swapped authentic Casio G-Shock. But man, once you put on that metal case, you really do get in dangerous territory with these Rep watches when it comes to price. Dangerous territory as in, I don't think it makes sense anymore. Unless you're okay with an off-center logo on the dial or a watch that stops working after 2 months, I think it's worth it just to spend the extra money for the authentic G-Shock, or just go with the Homage like this Activa or Invicta for $30 less that already has a manufacturer-made high-quality metal case and band. And again, I do not obviously condone the purchase of replica watches. Like I said, this was a curiosity purchase for me, which is also why I have not shared the receipts of those two. I just would not do it if I was you. Casio has spent countless years perfecting their art, and they are, I think, widely considered the best affordable, very affordable, I should say, watch brand in the world. So they are worth spending your money on if you want that authentic G-Shock. Homages, however, are a completely different thing. Especially recently, we can talk so much about what AliExpress has done to the world of homages. And I think this watch, even though, granted, obviously not an AliExpress watch, Invicta, a very well-known company, very much a homage. They actually even call this the ACW2100. They're not being shy about what this watch is modeled after. And I gotta say, I hate it a whole lot less than I thought I would. Again, I don't like the overall design of most Invicta watches, so even though I'm a big fan of the 2100, I expected to kind of laugh at this watch, especially thinking it was going to be $19. I was blown away by its quality at $19, but obviously now we know that this watch is more than likely going to be available for $50. I would keep checking on Amazon and try to find whatever magic in the bottle I found, but you have to assume this is a $50 watch. So does it make sense at that price point? I've thought long and hard about this, especially after the whirlwind of different pricing I had to experience. And the ultimate decision I made was yes, it does. But only if you're looking for this full metal look that this watch kind of provides, besides that weird case that you heard me complain about. The full metal G-Shock, like we talked about, is upwards of $600, and even the Casio conversion can cost upwards of $200. So this watch is a fourth of that price, and granted the quality isn't as far off as I initially thought it would be. It certainly is not 4 times worse than the Casio G-Shock is. So I think this is a solid and affordable option for anyone looking to get into the world of digital watches and that really likes this metal band look. But let me know what you guys think in the comments of this Invicta watch and which one you would choose. And thank you so much for watching this first shameless watch collector video. I'm excited to go on this journey through the silly world of watch collecting with all of you. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe and all that fun stuff. And always remember, it's not that serious.